We've got some great guests for you tonight. The one and only Rick Rydell is here. Sorry, Rick Green. Old habits die hard. Folks, this really isn't just about the PFD. This is a rally to restore the PFD, yes. But we can go to the music. What this is really about is you.
Yes.
This is about you. That's the center, the focus of this administration. And when I think about an event like this and what we're all fighting for, I think about freedom. And let me tell you why. We all share a common belief. Everybody in this room, right here, right now, today, we all believe in this idea of freedom.
Liberty!
Yes.
Liberty.
What's your name, son?
Corey.
Corey, thanks for coming tonight. We all believe in this common idea where we want to do what we want to do. We want to say what we want to say. We want to believe in what we want to believe. Now, there are some folks out there that think that we shouldn't have a say in how our PFDs are spent. That's not what this governor thinks. That's not what these legislators that represent you here in the Valley, that's not what they think. They believe that you should have the choice. You should have the freedom to decide how your PFD is spent. There are some folks who want to take your PFD, spend it on government, and then give you whatever's left over. That's right. That's not going to happen under the watch of this governor and these great legislators that are fighting for you in Juneau. Yes. Tonight we want to focus on the great things that legislators are doing. We want to thank you for what you've been doing. We've had an incredible response. This administration tried to listen to what everybody was saying. What everybody was saying to us was, give us an opportunity to testify. Give us an opportunity to help you. So we've been engaging in unique tactics. We've been sending out text messages and emails to let folks know when there's an opportunity to testify, and the response has been overwhelming. Folks, 36,000 emails have been sent to legislators this session. We are almost there. We can see the goal line, but we haven't got the ball over the line yet, but we're close. We need your help. We need you to continue to put the pressure on legislators.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. Tonight, we want to try and give you more tools in your toolbox to make you effective advocates. We want to thank you for what you do. Let's keep the pressure up. We're going to hear from some great folks. For right now, I'm going to turn the time over to my good friend, Todd Smolten.
Thank you, Jeremy. You know, Jeremy, there's been a few people in the legislature who are a little worried that there could possibly be a special session out here. And, my question to you is, do these people look dangerous to you? No. No, what I see, and in my time working for this incredible governor, is I see a group of people out here in the Mat-Su Valley who really are a shining light in what it means to be conservative, what it means to be active, and what it means to love liberty. And so we're really excited about this event tonight because in some ways it's a way of paying you back for your activity and the pressure that you've been putting on the legislature to do the right thing and I'm going to get you to say this with me, follow the law. That's right. That's right. That's really all that we're asking them to do. There's a statute on the books. We want them to follow the law. So tonight we're going to have a little bit of fun. That's really what this is mostly about. I have the honor to start off here to introduce our first performer / guest. And I will say this, that many of you know me, but you probably don't know my beautiful wife of, it'll be 25 years in this real soon here. And the reason why you don't really know her is because, quite frankly, for the most part, you know, she's not all that interested in politics. You know, she's like, she's like a lot of us who just kind of, you know, went along to get along and voted, but didn't really get active. But I can tell you this, that over the last few years, she has become more and more frustrated with legislators who are not listening to what Alaskans are asking them to do, which is to follow the law. And so I'm going to introduce my wife here. She wrote a parody to Kenny Rogers' The Gambler, but what she likes to call it is the PFD.
Right on.
This is Carrie Smolder.
I know her. She's awesome.
Thank you. First, I have to say that I am politically active. I was more politically active before my husband took his new job. So now I'm a little more careful about who I email and what I say. I'm not a singer. I am a former teacher and a current substitute teacher, but sometimes I put my frustrations with political policies into song parodies. I've done a lot of them. I've never performed one. I've been working on this one for months. When Senator von Imhoff walked out in the middle of Alaskans' testimony a few weeks ago, that was the final straw for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to call and sing it a cappella. I can do it in under 3 minutes that way for my testimony, but I thought about it a lot and decided perhaps that might not be the best idea. So instead, I'm going to sing it. It's for our legislators. Feel free, once you hear the chorus once, to sing the second one with me. In the great state of Alaska, we have a problem. Decades of spending, like oil prices were high, but in reality, they were often in the gutter. And so we spent our savings and still managed to get by. But that pesky little problem, it kept on getting bigger. Oil prices stayed low, our revenue was down. Instead of cutting spending, politicians down in Juneau created a solution that made constituents frown. First, Governor Bill Walker, he took $1,000 from each Alaskan who got a PFD. A few thought that was okay, for others it was a big hit. And so they cut their spending because their revenue was down. You've got to know how to budget, know how to cut costs, know how to say no, rethink priorities. You never spend more money when less is coming in. Now go on and make a budget that doesn't take our PFDs. The next year rolled around, the legislature did the same. Alaskans got less money, for some it was really bleak. But again we cut our spending, and then again the next year. You see, most of us Alaskans, we don't live outside our means. We cut out our vacations, put less in savings, spent less on food and gas, and in the economy, we reevaluated and put off many extras, hoped for better times ahead and a full PFD. You got to know how to budget, know how to cut costs, know how to say no, rethink priorities. You never spend more money when less is coming in. Now go on and make a budget that doesn't take our rethink priorities. If constituents can do it, you can do it too. Now go on and make a budget that doesn't take our PFDs.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie Smolin.
I can't talk anymore.
Our next guest has been the king of talk radio for nearly 4 decades. He recently left radio to join the Dunleavy administration. You know him as Rick Rydell. We know him now as Rick Green. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rick Green.
Yeah, Rydell works, that's fine. Whatever. So when they asked me to come talk, I gave a little thought about that, and I thought, you know, what we're talking about here really, there's a similarity. It's like friends, you know. We all have a lot of friends in the good times when everything's good. You ever have one of those dark moments in your life? You turn around and everybody's walking out the door. Your real friends, that's when they're walking in the door. And there's very few of them. And what we're talking about here is friends and promises. Now those friends, they're reliable. They follow through with what they say they're going to do. You can count on them. And they always have your back.
Dunleavy.
Promises are the same way. And when Mike Dunleavy was running for governor, he made some promises. And promises are like friends. They're easy to keep in the good times. But when you make a promise, it's like a contract, right?
Yep.
And so he said, I'm going to make you a promise. I'm going to repeal Senate Bill 91. I'm going to get rid of the crime.
Yeah.
He said, elect me governor, and I'll deliver an honest budget, one that doesn't spend for more than what we have.
Right.
And then he said, and I'll give you your full PFD. Now, and how that goes, you would think the last one would have been the easiest, because the money's there. It's not even hard. Give it to our legislator, take the easiest thing out there and make it the hardest. So, he got rid of Senate Bill 91. Yeah. He presented an honest budget that doesn't spend more than we have coming in. He's kept 2 of his promises out of 3 in 6 months.
Yes.
Now, when he made that promise that I'm going to give you your full PFD, we kind of made a promise too. We said, okay, I'll take that promise and I'll vote for you. Now, giving a promise, as I said earlier, it doesn't mean that it's something you just do in the easy times. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a promise. You'd just be saying what you do. When you tell someone, I'm going to promise to you, what you say is, I'm going to do everything within my power, even if it goes beyond when I would normally give up, to make sure you have my word and you know I have your back. That's what a promise is. Governor Mike Dunleavy is keeping his promise. He is a friend because he's walking in when other people are walking out. Now it's our turn to keep our promise. He's doing what he said. Our promise is we will have your back. That means you got to do what I did and contact my legislator and say, hey, not in a vicious way, not in a mean way, but in a respectful way, and say, you know what? I made a promise. I elected you. I elected Governor Mike Dunleavy. He's going to try and give me my full PFD. I expect you to back him on that. That's what a friend does. We have never had a governor, and I've been following governors. I've known every governor in the state of Alaska, except Keith Miller, because he was only here like 9 months, but everyone on a first name basis. And I can't think of anyone else who has ever kept all of their promises. We have to help him keep this third one by putting pressure on our legislators, because he's being our friend, he's keeping our word, he's keeping our promises. It's those resistant few in the legislature who are not. Now it's your turn. Calls to all of them. It's in your power. They're representing you, and they need to listen to you. Thank you for taking the time and coming out, because he knows we've got his back. God bless you.
Thank you, Rick. I know the governor is happy to have you and his administration, but there's a lot of people out here who miss you every morning on the radio. So.
Thank you.
You know, during this legislative session, we've heard a lot of different legislators kind of cherry picking from, you know, Jay Hammond and the trustees of the permanent fund, and you've heard it if you've, like me, are watching Gavel to Gavel. But we have a video tonight from a man who, you know, we consider a father of the permanent fund and a father of the permanent fund dividend program, and that's Clem Tillion. And rather than picking and choosing, let's watch this video from Clem and see what he has to say.
The permanent fund was designed to make sure that at least part of the wealth accruing to Alaska through bonuses and royalties became a permanent source of income, not something to be spent just as if it was renewable. When you sell oil, for instance, you know that eventually it will run out. And so if you do not invest at least the bonuses and royalties so that it pays its way in the future, there will be a time you and your children have nothing to show except the desert left behind. We set 25% aside. We should have set the whole thing aside, but we didn't. 25%, and then to protect that dividend, that money, the permanent fund, Hammond devised the dividend. The dividend is so that the people will protect the basic wealth of their children. And unless you stand up and fight for it, legislators are elected by special interests that pay their campaign funds, and they will use up your whole inheritance if you do not say no. This portion, small as it may be, belongs to the people, and we want not just a fixed dividend, we want a share of what our money earns.
You know, I was a former educator before I took this job with the governor, and you know, sometimes I just can't get past this idea of asking people questions. So I got a couple questions for you. These are simple, no pop quiz here. Do you want the legislature to follow the Constitution and have a budget? I told you these were going to be easy. Do you want the legislature to follow the law?
Yeah. Well, I have the law. I can't follow it.
Agreed. And do you would you like a full statutory PFD? Real simple questions here. Unfortunately, some are making these simple questions very difficult, but that's what we're here for. We're here to put some pressure on them. And keep that pressure on so we can support the governor. Okay, so a lot of you in the Matsu, you know our next guest because you've heard him testify, and he is a wonderful asset in the Valley. And Greg, I'm going to tell you, we're running behind schedule here, so I want you to pretend like this is Senate Finance, and they've only given you 2 minutes. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, but everybody, let's welcome Greg Pugh.
Thank you. I'm nobody really, but an Alaskan. I'm just a Matsu resident, raising the children, and I never got involved in politics because politics never gets involved with me, and that's pretty much the bottom line. I've lost all trust in government, like most of you here have, and most of us are frustrated when you flip on the TV and see all the great things that are not happening on Gavel to Gavel. One of the things that Mike, I'm going to call him Mike because I've known him before governor and before Senate, and I asked Mike, I said, if I'm going to vote for you, you're going to do two things for me, and that is stand tall and say no. So, that's where I'm at with it. I don't know about anybody in this room, but I got a family of 4. So for the last 3 years, I've lost somewhere in the neighborhood of about $20,000 out of my PFD. That's the largest tax increase on my family ever in my lifetime. I have never seen a higher tax increase in my lifetime. What does that mean for my family? Well, I tell you what it means. I got a girl that's a junior in high school, and so we have to revamp things because we've invested in her education where she can go to college. We've invested every bit of her PFDs ever since she was born so she could go to college. That's what it means for us. It's not just to go out and get a 4-wheeler or something like that, like most of the media wants to tell us.
Right.
It's not a 4-wheeler for us.
No.
It's my children's future for me. My children have an opportunity to better themselves. Now, I don't know about anybody else in this room, but I know for me, I grew up in Tennessee and I didn't have a very good education, and I left high school and I couldn't read and write when I left high school. I don't want that for my children, and I haven't advocated for that. I went my military career the same way. I got into service, and I'm a veteran, and I know what it is to fight, and I know what it is to wear the uniform, and I know what it is to stand up for what's right. And what's right is not just a full PFD. That's right. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to make changes to that PFD, I need to vote for it. That's where I'm at with it. If you want to change my PFD, bring it to the ballot box, because everybody in this room and most of everybody in Alaska knows it ain't gonna pass. So, every one of us in this room, and I'm included with that, I sat on the sidelines and thought the government was for me and they had my best interest. I thought that for many years until 2010. I got involved. And the more I got involved, the more angry I became. And the more angry I became, the more involved I became. And then I started talking like I do now. And I go into town halls, I go to Senate committee, you name it. And people know me as the loudmouth from the back end of the bus. So, before I get off this stand, this is what I have to say. One last thing. If you believe in your family, and you believe in your children's future, and you believe in your households, and you believe that you have the right to own the American dream, the Alaskan dream that we all know, this beautiful scenery right here, you cannot sit on the sidelines and allow these criminals to come in and take what you're in.
Remember what I said at the beginning, folks. It's not about any one politician. The governor will be first to say this. This isn't about him. This is about you. You decide the future of Alaska. You decide how that PFD is spent. Now, next, we got a great treat for you. Before we get to the governor, he's almost there. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. I'm Jeremy Price.
Thank you.
Yep. We're almost there. You know something I noticed this last couple of weeks as folks have been, and the legislature have been voting on some of these things, I've noticed, the PFD is really a nonpartisan issue.
Yes.
It really is. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're a Libertarian, you're not registered with any political party. It crosses party lines, doesn't it?
Yes.
I wonder, is anyone here from any political parties?
Nonpartisan here.
Nonpartisan? Libertarians?
AIP!
AIP, all right. AIP is Alaska Independence Party. Jesus? Okay. Any Republicans? All right. Democrats? I tried, okay. Bottom line here is, though, a number of Democrats did cross party lines and vote for restored PFD. So, that's right.
I'm not partisan, I can do that.
You can take loyalty a little bit.
So I think here, folks, I think we waited long enough. All right, okay, I'm getting a wink. Not quite yet. All right. Are there any heads of political parties here tonight? No? Oh, we do have someone. Who's this? Oh, I see. Oh, she doesn't want to get up. I see Ann Brown from the Republican Party is here. Ann, do you want to say a few words? Or are you shy? Are you shy tonight, or do you want to say a few words? All right, she's coming up. Anybody else that are heads of any political parties here tonight?
Is Nonpartisan a political party?
Ladies and gentlemen, Ann Brown with the Alaska Republican Party.
Good evening. I'm the vice chair of the Alaska Republican Party. I'm not the head of the party, so I don't want to claim that. But I'm happy to be here tonight, and I just want to add my thanks for all of you to turn out to support Governor Dunleavy's agenda. At the party, we support his agenda. He's the head of our party, and I'm very glad to see you all here realizing that elections have consequences.
Thank you, Ann Brown. Thank you to everybody from all the various parties for supporting this issue. We are all standing together tonight. Todd.
All right. Well, you know, I had to look at the agenda there. I spaced something out, but so I know it's been difficult because, you know, we have this legislature and we kind of wrap them all up into one group. But we know in the valley that legislators are very different from the legislature, don't we? We have some awesome legislators in the valley. We can count on them. And so we have a message from some legislators on the video screen, and we'd like you to hear what they have to say.
Hi, this is Representative Sullivan Leonard from District 7. You're holding the rally in my district. Thank you so much for being there to fight the fight for our PFD.
Good evening, I'm Shelley Hughes, Senator for District F for Friends and Family. That's Palmer and Greater Chugiak. I wish I could be with you and Governor Dunleavy at the rally in the Valley, but I'm here in Juneau working on the PFD.
I'm David Wilson, Senator for District D. Welcome this evening. Thank you for your support of our Governor, Michael J. Dunleavy, and thank you for your support for fully funding our statutory PFD amount.
Hey, Matt Sue. This is Kathy Tillman. It's great to see everybody here tonight. I wish I was there with you, but we're here in Juneau fighting for you and your full statutory dividend.
Representative Rauscher, District 9. A full PFD, because it's the law.
Hello everyone, I'm Delana Johnson representing the Greater Palmer area, District 11, and I'm here in Juneau fighting for your full statutory PFD. I've heard loud and clear from all of my constituents that that's what you are expecting, that we would follow the law.
For 39 years, there have been politicians in Juneau who believed that they could spend the PFD better than the people themselves could. For 39 years, we've fought them and told them that they are wrong. What's different now is that those same politicians believe that they can spend the PFD and still get reelected. It's up to the people to make it clear whether or not that is in fact the case. This isn't just about the economy, and this isn't just about the dividend. This is about the concentration of power in Juneau. Will it serve the people or the politicians?
This PFD is not the government's money. It's not politicians' money. It's your money.
I'm Representative Sarah Vance of House District 31, and I support a full historical PFD. Call your representatives. Call your senators today. Don't give up the fight.
That's actually a good reminder that if you all want to stay engaged, I'm going to say it again because you may forget. I'll say it again, 888-111. Text PFD to 888-111. Then you'll stay informed. We'll send you updates when there's an opportunity to testify. Stay informed. Stay with us. Now it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's give it up for none other than Alaska's Governor, Michael J. Dunleavy.
Well, it's great to be back in the Valley. This is an incredible state. I mean, everywhere I go in the state of Alaska, we've got fantastic people who care about their government, who want to get involved and want to be involved. And so it's really terrific to see everyone here today. You know, this is a very special week for this country and this state. Are there any veterans here in the crowd? I want to thank you for your service. Alaska has more veterans per capita than any other state in the country. So we know that this week is the 75th anniversary of the invasion of Normandy. Watershed moment in the history of the world. Sometimes folks forget also that this week we had the Battle of Midway that took place 77 years ago on June 3rd, June 4th, June 5th. And that the invasion of Alaska by the Japanese took place at the same time. So Alaska's on the forefront when it comes to our military, when it comes to the defense of our country. And in my opinion, there's no state that has more freedom-loving people than the state of Alaska. I was honored to win the election to be governor of the state of Alaska. I think it's the greatest state in the country by far. It's just an unbelievable state. We're not just talking about the beauty, the vistas, the opportunities here in terms of outdoor activities, but economic opportunities. And also just the fact that we love to be left alone. We love to live our lives the way we want to live our lives. You know, and because of some quirk, some anomaly in the development of our Constitution and our Statehood Act, we don't get the right to develop the minerals under our feet. It's an anomaly in the country. So what some, I think, far future-looking, future-seeing individuals 40 some years ago saw was that there had to be a way to have all of us partake in the mineral wealth of our great state. And so we had the permanent fund put in place in 1976 by whom? The people of Alaska, through a constitutional amendment. And then a few years later, we had the dividend put in place so that people can share in this wealth and protect the permanent fund. And that's one of the things I think people don't realize is that if the PFD goes away, in the manner that some folks are talking about, even though the permanent fund is constitutionally protected, that value of that fund could be eroded once we, politicians, get into that earnings reserve. So you're really the watchdogs. You're really the protectors of the permanent fund. And it is your wealth, because this government, the state government, is your government. This is all about you. So once again, it's an honor to be your governor. Now, folks have asked me, Dunleavy, can you compromise? Can you compromise on this issue or that issue? And of course, part of the process is compromising. But what they're really saying, in many cases, in the case of people that think like we do, they're not really talking about compromising. They're talking about capitulation. They want you to capitulate. They want you to give up and move so far to that side that you no longer recognize who you are or who you represent. And quite frankly, I refuse to do that. I spend a lot of time in Juneau because that's the seat of government, but I don't see a lot of individual Alaskans there because it's far away. Yes. It's difficult to get there. It costs a lot of money. It takes your time. I do see a lot of folks that are associated with special interests. I do see a lot of lobbyists. I do see a lot of groups that are there to try and lobby for funding, for money.
This is your group.
You are individual Alaskans. Your lobbyists are your representatives, and your governor is there to execute the laws and look out for the people of Alaska. And that's my plan. That's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm going to keep doing on your behalf. This government only works, and the founding fathers said this government only works if you stay interested and you stay involved. The moment you stop being interested and the moment you stop being involved, then the special interests take over. And we lose what so many have given the greatest sacrifice for them. That's, once again, I start out by saying this week is a very important week in the history of the world and the history of this country. There are people that have died for our freedoms and for our right to live the way we live. This is not just about the PFD. What is really at stake is your government, our way of life, and the idea that we make a difference. And I know that over the last several years, folks have wondered, do we make a difference? We go to the polls, we support candidates, we vote for people, and then oftentimes when we go to Juneau or we go to Washington, we don't seem to be the same people that we were when we were knocking on your doors.
That's right.
And it's a profound disappointment for a lot of us. It's a profound disappointment. It's incredibly important for me to do everything I can to keep the promises that I ran on.
Thank you.
And it's not just about the PFD, but it's about restoring trust in your elected officials and trust in government. Because if you don't have that, we really don't have anything. We have really nothing to look forward to. So we have an opportunity, you have an opportunity. People have said to me, how can we help? You have an opportunity to help. Contact your legislators. Contact the ones that are supporting you and thank them. Contact the ones that are your lobbyists, your legislators that think about you every day. You saw a number of them on the screen here today. They really do care about you. They really do care about what you say. And they understand that you can't fly down to Juneau. And they understand that you can't be there all the time. And they're doing everything they can to fight on your behalf. So call them, text them, email them, and thank them for looking out for your interests. There are other legislators that need your help too, to get them to understand what the PFD is all about, and what your involvement in government is all about, and what the size of the government, the spend, the budget is all about. I mean, how big of a government do we really want and do we really need? Because I can tell you this, it can grow uncontrollably. It can keep growing until your PFD is gone, then it's taxes,
Yeah, I don't want to be
and
involved.
then I don't know what we have to look forward to here at that point. So the PFD is kind of like the canary in the mine from my perspective. Regardless of what you think, regardless of what people think of the PFD, the moment that PFD is gone, there is something incredibly valuable and unique about Alaska that's gone.
That's right.
And we start at that point to become like almost every other state, like New York, like California, like Illinois. I guess we won't be moving to Illinois anytime soon. But this is what makes Alaska unique. In the future, will there come a time that we may need to think about certain things that we need to do to maintain the government? Yes, but you need to be intimately involved in that. It should not be imposed upon you. As I explained to people, we have a very unique constitution in the state of Alaska.
Yes.
We're one of only 24 states in the country that if you don't like a bill that we pass, you can repeal it at the polls. 26 other states, they can't do that. The people cannot do that in those states. The only recourse they have is to elect or unelect officials. In the state of Alaska, in our Constitution, we have the repeal process and the initiative process where you can initiate laws. And if you read the Constitutional Convention, the minutes of our Constitutional Convention here in the state of Alaska, if you read what the framers of our Constitution said, they said you were incredibly important, that you were the vanguard of freedom for this state, that you would help keep in check potentially rogue legislatures or governors by that ballot initiative, that ballot repeal process, that ballot referendum process. So what I try to explain to people is, if you are not involved in the front end of forming a fiscal policy, you will certainly be involved at the back end at the polls through the repeal and initiative process. And that's what we have to get people to understand, that in the end, those of us in Juneau are not the bosses. Right. We are not the bosses. We changed that well over 200 and some years ago in a thing called the revolution. Right. You folks are the bosses. We go down to Juneau to carry out your will and your wishes. And that's exactly what we should be doing. And you need to remind your legislators, you need to remind all the legislators that in the end, it's you that we do everything for. You are the government. You are the people. And this is why we do what we do, and it's for you. So I would ask you, when you contact the legislators, be respectful. There's a view by some that the people of Alaska aren't respectful and they can't be trusted. And I understand the emotions run high because of some of the things that are happening. But in the end, show them that in fact, there's a reason why you're the bosses. There's a reason why the people of Alaska and the people of this country run the show, and not professional politicians, and not folks that have been there forever, let's say in Juneau or Washington. There's a reason, because you're the everyday Alaskan. You're the everyday American who gets up in the morning, looks after their family, goes to work, tries to do the best that they can, and that you rely on the folks that we send to Juneau and Washington, but in this case Juneau, to do your bidding. So I'm going to close out because, as I always say, once you give a politician a microphone, you need the jaws of life to get it off of them. And I don't want to do that. But I want to tell you, I'm incredibly proud of the people of Alaska.
Yes.
The only thing more beautiful than this vista are the people of Alaska. It's you that makes this state a great state. And it'll be you that keeps the government going in the manner it should be going. And this experiment we call America, but I think out of all the 50 states, this is probably the greatest experiment. It's called Alaska. Please call your legislators, tell them what you're thinking, tell them to respect the laws, follow the law, tell them if they want to do any changes to the PFD, that we send this out for vote of the people so that we can build the future of the state together, as opposed to fighting with each other, fighting with the people of Alaska, fighting with our fellow legislators. Let's work on this thing together, let's build the state, let's build the future of the state together if we're going to change anything. But in the meantime, follow the law, get the budget passed, and let's get out of Juneau and enjoy our lives this summer and go fishing and hunting in the fall time. I want to thank you very much.
All right, folks, he is keeping his promises and he is standing tall for Alaskans. One more time, let's give it up for our governor, Michael J. Dunleavy. Thank you, Governor. All right, folks, we're not quite done yet. We're not quite done yet. So if you want to have a seat, we have kind of one more last treat for you, and then some closing remarks. We have a couple gentlemen who are going to sing to us. Take it away.
Good evening. Normally we're a quartet.
We're very small. Well, the governor took half of
No, the other two members of our quartet are out on the road. They got stuck in traffic heading out of Anchorage. Nothing unusual around here. You still working? Okay.
I'm still working.
Anyway.
Modern technology is just too much.
No, we're in luck because my part has the melody. So, now, just a quick introduction to this song. I originally wrote the words to this back in 1995. Wow. And the only thing that's really strange about it is how nothing has changed. Okay. Try this. Up in Alaska, the living is tough. Summers are short, and the winters are rough. But there's a reason we weather the season. It's money, they pay us to stay. Back in the 80s, the state set aside some profits from oil sales for those who reside. Here in the great land, each child, woman, and man gets money, real money. It's all PFD. Sales abound in the paper. Buy it now instead of later. We'll double your dough. It's the way to go. Everybody wants your PFD. Buy a car with back credit. This check's good, so don't sweat it. The money they say will go a long way. Everybody Everybody wants your PFD. In the malls, the merchants are all smiling, picturing their tills all filled with green. But the legislature's been conspiring to steal it for the budget that's obscene. On the airlines, get Rogaine for your hairline. There's no need to fear, at least till next year. Everybody wants your PFD, PFD. Everybody wants your PF. Everybody wants your PFD. Wants your PFD.
Thank you to the David Banks Duet Quartet. Folks, you've been a wonderful audience. Final message, remember, text PFD to 888-111. The ball is almost there. Let's get it across the finish line. Let's fight on. We know we can do it. Help us do it. Help us be successful. Let's restore the PFD. Thank you, everybody.